You know that feeling, right? That knot in your stomach before a conversation you're just dreading? Maybe it's with your partner, a parent, or even your own kid. Well, today we're going to dive into how to turn those moments of fear into some real, genuine connection.
It's kind of weird when you think about it, isn't it? The people we care about the most are the very same people we can have the biggest blow-ups with. But what if the whole way we're looking at that battlefield is just wrong? So, where do we even start? Well, funny enough, the first move in fixing our tough conversations has nothing to do with the other person. Nope. It starts with us. It starts with a really basic question. Where do we get our sense of self-worth from?
This quote, man, it really hits on a huge and often totally invisible pressure. Our value, our sense of who we are, can get so tangled up in things that are completely outside of our control, like someone else's job title. And when that doesn't feel right, you know what often happens? We just pivot. We start attaching our worth to our kids, their report cards, their wins on the sports field, you name it. The source of our value is still external. It's just moved to a new address. And this is the real goal right here. Making that huge shift from looking outside for approval to finding it on the inside. It's a journey from constantly worrying, what are they going to think of me, to this quiet, solid confidence. This is the foundation we absolutely have to build on. Okay, so once we start building that solid internal foundation for ourselves, where do we start to practice it? Well, one of the toughest and most rewarding places is right in our own homes with our kids. So let's imagine a classic situation. You're trying to get out the door, and your kid just plants their feet. They will not get in the small car. They want the big, fancy one. It's a power struggle we've all been in. So what's our first gut reaction? You know, our instinct is probably that lecture on the left, right? It's all about shame, it's dismissive, and really, it just teaches them to stuff their feelings down. But look over on the right. That question, it opens a door. It tries to get to the why behind the want, and that is where the real learning happens. And here's how you do it, broken down into steps. Now, notice, the goal here isn't to give in to their demand. It's to connect with them first. That physical touch, it literally calms their nervous system down. Then, once they're calm, you can start exploring why they feel that way, with real curiosity. You're guiding them to build their own values, not just yelling about yours. You know, this whole idea helps make sense of so much tough kid behavior. That classic after-school meltdown, it's not just your kid being defiant. Think about it. They've spent all day being told what to do, where to sit, when to talk. Home is the one safe place where they can finally let all that pent-up frustration out. Okay, building this stuff in ourselves and with our kids is absolutely huge. But now, let's get to the final boss, taking these exact same ideas, empathy, connection, and applying them to our toughest conversations with other adults. This quote just gets right to the core of it, doesn't it? Most fights are never really about the thing we're fighting about in the moment. They're about all the old hurts, this whole history that just comes flooding back in a second. So that brings us to a really, really mind-bending question. What if we've been reading these hurtful comments completely wrong this whole time? What if the person who starts the fight isn't actually trying to attack us at all? What if they're trying to do something else? This idea is called a flawed connection bid. Basically, the person wants to connect with you, they want to interact, but they just don't have the emotional tools to do it in a healthy way. So what do? They throw a conversational grenade. They say something that pushes your buttons, not really to hurt you, but just to get any kind of reaction, because that's the only way they know how to engage. This gives us a whole new playbook. The absolute key is to create a pause. First, just notice your own reaction, that flash of anger, that sting of hurt. But then, instead of just lashing back, ask yourself, could this be one of those clumsy attempts to connect? Just thinking that gives you a choice. You can actually reframe the whole conversation instead of just getting defensive. And you see, this changes the entire game. The goal isn't to be right anymore. It's to figure out the unspoken need that's hiding behind that clumsy comment and to build a bridge back to the person you care about. So that's the path. It all starts with building up our own internal sense of worth, so we're not desperate for other people's approval. That solid foundation then lets us be truly empathetic parents. And ultimately, it gives us the tools to see conflict not as a battle, but as a messy, human, flawed call for connection. So I'll leave you with this to chew on. Sometime in the next week, where is one spot where you could stop trying to win the argument and just start trying to connect with the person instead? What's one bridge you could try to build?